The alien Empress watched me fight alone and ordered her guards to stand down. Jadon Cross's ship trembled as it pierced the thick, golden clouds of Zoreth 9. The planet stretched endlessly beneath him, a maze of crystal spires, jagged mountains, and floating islands that seemed to defy gravity. It was a world unlike anything humans had seen before, a place alive with strange energy, where light danced in shifting patterns across the land. Jadon had been sent here on a mission that was simple in theory, but dangerous in execution. Locate and retrieve an ancient energy core said to have the power to stabilize dying star systems. It was a mission that could save countless lives across human colonies, but on Zoreth 9, danger lurked at every step. As his ship landed on a jagged plateau, Jadon could feel the hum of the planet beneath his feet. The ground pulsed with an almost imperceptible rhythm, as if the planet itself were alive, watching him. He adjusted his suit and stepped out, taking a moment to observe his surroundings. Crystal towers rose like fingers into the sky, connected by bridges of light. Some of the towers floated independently, suspended in midair by forces Jadon did not understand. Strange creatures moved along the pathways, not hostile yet, but aware of him. He checked his scanner. The energy core was somewhere deep within the palace city of the Empress, the ruler of Zoreth 9. Empress Lyra was known across multiple systems for her intelligence, power, and unpredictability. Humans rarely visited her territory, even fewer left without trouble. Jadon felt a knot tighten in his stomach, but he reminded himself that he had been trained for moments like this. The first sign of trouble came quickly. As he approached the palace gates, a shadow fell across the plateau. He looked up to see a patrol of the Empress's elite guards descending. They were unlike anything he had encountered before. A mix of towering insectoid warriors with armored exoskeletons and sleek biomechanical drones that hovered silently, their sensors glowing red. They were fast, precise, and heavily armed. The moment they saw him, they moved to intercept. Jadon's heart pounded, but he did not panic. His mind raced, calculating options. There was no way he could fight them all head-on. Instead, he used the environment to his advantage. Leaping from a crystal spire, he swung along energy conduits, landing on a lower ledge. The guards followed, their movements precise but predictable. He noticed patterns in their approach, a slight delay after each strike, a moment where they recalibrated. He exploited it. Using a combination of speed, agility, and clever timing, he led them into a narrow corridor between two massive towers. The corridor was lined with unstable crystals that resonated with energy. Jadon leapt onto one, causing it to shatter, releasing a burst of light and sound that disoriented the guards. Taking advantage of their confusion, he ducked through a side passage and vanished into the twisting pathways of the palace city. From her observation chamber high above, Empress Lyra watched silently. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, followed his every movement. She had never seen a human act with such combination of courage and instinct. Most beings either fled or fought recklessly, but this one moved with purpose, adapting to each situation with a mixture of logic and instinct. Her curiosity was piqued. She gave a subtle command, almost imperceptible, and her guards hesitated, halting their pursuit. Jadon did not know why they stopped, and he did not care. He pressed on, navigating through corridors of glowing crystals and floating platforms. The palace city was alive with energy, almost aware of his presence. As he moved deeper, he encountered obstacles that seemed impossible, gaps between floating islands, energy barriers that could cut through metal, and patrolling drones with sensors sensitive enough to detect a whisper. Each challenge forced him to think fast, to improvise, to push his body and mind beyond the usual limits. Despite the danger, he found moments of awe. He passed through a grand hall filled with floating lights that pulsed in rhythm with the planet itself. The walls shimmered with energy patterns that shifted constantly, as if the palace was breathing. Jadin could not help but marvel at the beauty of it. Even in the midst of a deadly mission, he felt a spark of wonder. Suddenly, a low hum resonated through the hall. Jadin froze, recognizing the sound from his training simulations. It was a defense mechanism, a pulse designed to incapacitate intruders. He calculated quickly. The pulse would hit in 3 seconds. He rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding the blast, and vaulted onto a series of floating platforms. The pulse shattered the far wall, leaving a cascade of glittering crystal shards in its wake. Jadin pressed on, adrenaline pumping through his veins. As he emerged into a wider chamber, he saw the first real sign of the Empress herself. A holographic projection flickered into existence, showing a figure draped in regal attire, her presence commanding and serene. It was Empress Lyra. The image spoke, though the words were translated instantly into his suit's interface. "You are far from your home, human. Few have dared this far, few survive." Jadin's hands tightened on his equipment, but he kept moving. "I'm not here to fight anyone unnecessarily," he replied aloud, though the projection could not hear him. "I only want the energy core." The Empress's eyes, even in projection, seemed to pierce through him. She was studying him, analyzing not just his actions but his intent. After a pause, the projection vanished, leaving only the soft glow of the crystal walls. He knew he was being tested. The palace city was filled with traps, challenges, and guards, but somehow he had survived the first wave. He pressed onward, leaping across chasms, sliding under energy barriers, and using the palace's own energy pulses to propel himself forward. Each obstacle required him to think faster, move quicker, and act smarter than the last. Hours seemed to pass in what felt like minutes. He reached a balcony overlooking the central plaza, where the Empress's guards gathered in numbers he could not count. Their armor gleamed in the strange light, weapons ready, eyes fixed on him. For a moment he hesitated, knowing that one mistake here could mean capture or death. Then he remembered the silent command he had felt earlier. Her guards had been ordered to pause. Whether it was a test, curiosity, or some unknown strategy, it gave him a chance. He took a deep breath and sprinted across the balcony, using every ounce of strength and skill he possessed. He vaulted over a rail, landing on a lower platform with barely a sound. The guards moved to intercept, but again, they halted, unsure. Jadin smiled, though only to himself. The human mind was unpredictable, and perhaps the Empress appreciated that unpredictability. He had no intention of underestimating her or her empire, but he also knew that humans had survived in situations far worse than this, relying on quick thinking, adaptability, and resilience. As night, or what passed for night on Zoreth 9, descended, the palace city glowed like a living jewel. Jadin found a temporary hiding spot among floating crystal spires, catching his breath and reviewing his plan. He needed to move closer to the core, but he also knew that the deeper he went, the more dangerous it would become. Every step would test not only his skill but his ingenuity, his patience, and his courage. From her high chamber, Empress Lyra watched him again. This human moved with determination, cleverness, and a spark she had not seen in any other species. Most beings feared her or respected her out of necessity. This one, however, acted with purpose and independence. That quality, rare and valuable, intrigued her. She leaned forward slightly, giving a subtle signal to her guards once more, "Stand down. Let him continue." Jadin did not know why. He only knew that he had survived the first stage of a challenge unlike any he had faced. The palace city seemed alive with energy, full of dangers and mysteries, yet he felt a strange sense of connection to it, as if he and the planet shared a mutual recognition of each other's presence. He continued his journey into the labyrinthine heart of the city, unaware that the Empress's gaze followed him at every step. Every leap, every roll, every clever maneuver he made fascinated her more. She did not fear him. She did not underestimate him. She simply watched, curious to see how far a single human could go alone. And Jadden Cross, alone in a world filled with alien wonders and deadly threats, pushed forward, trusting only in his instincts, his training, and his humanity. Every movement, every decision, every breath brought him closer to the energy core, and closer to the moment when the Empress herself would decide whether he was worthy of her attention, or whether he would simply become another forgotten challenger in the halls of Zorath 9. In that quiet tension between danger and discovery, Jadden felt alive. The thrill of the unknown, the challenge of survival, and the knowledge that humans could face impossible odds without surrendering made him sharper, faster, and more determined than ever. Somewhere above, the Empress continued to watch, and the story of one human alone against an entire empire was only just beginning. Jadden Cross had barely caught his breath when he found himself standing at the entrance to the arena. The space was enormous, far larger than he could have imagined. Towers of crystal and metal rose from the ground, their surfaces shimmering with alien energy. The floor seemed almost alive, shifting subtly beneath his feet. High above, platforms hovered, some connected by narrow bridges of glowing light. The entire structure pulsed as if it had a heartbeat, and Jadden realized that this place was not only a test of strength, but a challenge of mind and reflexes. He had barely taken in the sight when a deep voice echoed through the arena. "Welcome, human. Your courage has carried you this far. Now we shall see if it is enough to survive what comes next." The words came from the speakers lining the arena, but the tone held unmistakable authority. There was no doubt that the speaker was the Empress herself. Jadden's heart pounded. He had expected danger, but he had not anticipated that the Empress would address him directly. The first wave of opponents arrived. They were the Empress's elite guards, beings trained from birth in combat. Towering insectoid warriors, their limbs ending in sharp blades, advanced in perfect synchronization. Beside them, sleek drones hovered silently, their sensors scanning, ready to strike at the first sign of weakness. Jadden assessed them carefully. He was outnumbered and outgunned, but he had something they did not expect: creativity, unpredictability, and the instinct to survive against impossible odds. He moved immediately, using the arena to his advantage. He darted toward a floating platform and leapt onto it. The warriors followed, their movements precise but not unpredictable. Jadden twisted midair, dodging a strike, then swung his legs to knock one of the insectoids off balance. The creature fell, but before it could recover, a drone aimed a pulse weapon at him. Jadden rolled to the side, letting the blast strike the platform, shattering it and sending shards of glowing crystal flying in all directions. The crowd, mostly alien beings observing the challenge, gasped and whispered among themselves. Even seasoned spectators were surprised by the human's agility and cleverness. Jadden could hear the faint hum of energy from the arena reacting to his movements. It was as if the entire structure were watching, waiting to see how he would adapt. He did not hesitate. Each movement was a calculation. When a bridge of light began to shift beneath him, he jumped to another platform, landing softly. A warrior lunged from behind, but Jadden grabbed a loose crystal shard and used it to redirect the warrior's momentum, sending him crashing into the energy barrier at the edge of the arena. The barrier flared but did not break, and Jadden used the distraction to gain distance. From above, Empress Lyra observed silently. Her expression was unreadable, but her eyes followed every step, every maneuver. This human fought not with anger or malice, but with precision and intelligence. That was what set him apart from other intruders. Most would panic, relying on brute force or desperation. Jadden relied on thinking, observation, and adaptability. The second wave arrived moments later, faster, more cunning, and better coordinated than the first. They moved as one, cutting off escape routes and forcing him into a narrow corridor. Jadden realized that direct confrontation would be deadly. He needed a plan. He looked around and saw energy conduits running along the walls, pulsing with power. He leapt onto one and clung tightly, letting his weight swing him around a corner. The warriors followed, but the conduits snapped under their combined weight, sending them sprawling into a pile of shattered crystal. Jadden landed lightly and did not pause. The arena was full of traps designed to challenge intruders at every turn. Spikes that could extend from the ground, energy fields that pulsed without warning, and shifting platforms that tested balance and timing. But Jadden adapted. He observed the timing of the energy pulses, memorized the patterns of the moving platforms, and used his body to counterbalance every trap. Each successful maneuver built his confidence and wore down the guards' patience. Hours passed, or maybe it was minutes. Time seemed irrelevant in the arena. Jadden's endurance was pushed to its limits. Sweat ran down his face, his muscles ached, and his breath came in short, controlled bursts. Yet he continued, driven by purpose and instinct. Every obstacle was an opportunity to prove himself, every guard an opponent whose skill he could learn from. By the time the third wave arrived, the pattern of the human's movements had become clear, but even the most disciplined warriors could not predict his next action. Jadden used the arena itself as a weapon. Collapsing a pillar of crystal sent several warriors tumbling. Redirecting a blast of energy from a drone struck another group. He moved like a shadow, quick and precise, always staying one step ahead. Empress Lyra remained silent in her chamber above, but her thoughts raced. This human, she realized, was not only courageous but inventive. He could assess situations instantly, calculate risks, and use every resource available. These were qualities that many beings in her empire lacked, making them strong but predictable. Jadden's unpredictability was his greatest strength. The final wave approached, the most dangerous combatants, hand-picked for their skill and experience. They moved with lethal efficiency, a combination of raw power and precision. Jadden's movements became more fluid, almost instinctual as he anticipated their attacks. He ducked under a swinging blade, rolled past a high-energy strike, and vaulted over a collapsing platform. The combatants adapted, but so did he, always finding the edge to survive and counter. At one point, he found himself cornered on a narrow ledge with a sheer drop on one side and a swarm of drones closing in from the other. There was no room to maneuver. His mind raced. He noticed a series of energy conduits running along the walls, feeding the platform's movement. Using his weight and momentum, he grabbed the nearest conduit, swung around, and launched himself into the center of the arena. A pulse of energy from the platform below sent the drones flying, giving him the moment he needed to recover. The crowd watched in astonishment. Aliens who had never considered humans capable of such feats whispered among themselves. The creatures who had trained for centuries to master combat against their own kind were being outmatched by the ingenuity and adaptability of a single human. Jadden's breathing was heavy, but his mind remained sharp. He realized that brute force alone would not carry him through. Every move had to be calculated, every action purposeful. He noticed patterns in the way the guards approached, small habits that revealed their next move. He exploited them without hesitation, turning the strength of his opponents into tools for his own survival. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the last of the elite guards lay defeated or incapacitated. Jadden stood alone in the arena, bruised and exhausted, yet unbowed. His eyes swept across the vast chamber, taking in the aftermath of his struggle. The air shimmered with residual energy, the platforms hung in delicate balance, and the silence was heavy with anticipation. Then a voice rang out, clear and commanding, cutting through the stillness. Enough! The Empress appeared before him, not in projection this time, but descending gracefully from her high chamber. Her presence radiated authority and calm. The guards behind her, who had survived, stepped back, lowering their weapons. Jadden noticed that they obeyed without hesitation, a sign that her word was absolute. Lyra's eyes studied him carefully, taking in every detail: his posture, the way he breathed, the dirt and scratches on his suit, the determination in his gaze. She saw something rare and valuable, something she had not expected to find in a human. Courage, yes, but more importantly, creativity, intelligence, and the instinct to survive without unnecessary aggression. "You have performed well," she said, her voice carrying both approval and curiosity. "Few beings could survive what you have faced. Even fewer would do so without surrendering to anger or desperation." Jadden, still catching his breath, nodded slightly. "I didn't come here to fight unnecessarily. I came for the energy core. I'll leave anyone unharmed if I can." The Empress inclined her head, acknowledging his words. "You understand, then, that this is more than a test of strength. It is a trial of mind, spirit, and heart. You have shown all three, human. That is why you still stand." Jadden felt a mixture of relief and pride. He had survived the arena, faced the Empress's elite guards, and proven that even a lone human could challenge the might of an empire. Yet he knew that this was only the beginning. The energy core lay deeper within the palace city, and the Empress's interest in him promised that the challenges ahead would be even greater. Lyra's eyes softened ever so slightly. She had seen many warriors, many intruders, and many who sought the energy core for power or conquest. But Jadden was different. He acted with purpose, intelligence, and respect for life. That combination was rare, almost unique. She had observed him not merely as a spectator, but as one who understood the true value of courage and adaptability. As the Empress rose to leave, she gave a single command to her remaining guards: "Stand down. Let him continue. We shall see how far a human can go." Jadden watched her ascend, unaware that she continued to observe him from above. He knew only that the path ahead would be dangerous, that the palace city held secrets and perils beyond his imagination. But for the first time, he felt a sense of respect from the most powerful being on the planet. That acknowledgement, subtle as it was, strengthened his resolve. With careful steps, he moved toward the inner chambers of the palace city, his senses alert, his mind calculating, and his spirit unbroken. The arena had tested his body and mind. The next stages would test his ingenuity, his courage, and his humanity in ways he could not yet imagine. And somewhere above, Empress Lyra watched, fascinated by the lone human who had faced her empire and survived. Jadden knew one thing for certain: he would not fail. Humans had survived impossible odds before, and he intended to continue that legacy, proving that courage, intelligence, and adaptability could triumph even in the heart of an alien empire. Jadden Cross stepped out of the arena into the vast corridors of the palace city, his muscles still trembling from the exhausting battles. He had survived the Empress's trial, faced her elite guards, and proved that a single human could outthink and outmaneuver creatures who had been trained in combat their entire lives. Yet, he knew this was only the beginning. Empress Lyra had not revealed the location of the energy core, nor had she indicated whether the next trial would be physical, mental, or a combination of both. The corridor he followed was lined with crystalline walls that pulsed with soft light, almost like the heartbeat of the palace itself. The floor shifted subtly beneath his feet, testing his balance and forcing him to remain alert. As he moved, he sensed that the palace was aware of him, responding to his presence in small but deliberate ways. Panels would slide open to reveal passageways, while previously stable platforms would tilt or shift. Each movement was a puzzle, each decision a test. After navigating several twists and turns, Jadden reached a large chamber. It was circular, with a high ceiling from which energy conduits descended like vines. In the center stood a pedestal bathed in light. He instinctively knew this was not just a resting place but a clue. As he approached, the floor beneath him shifted, revealing a series of interconnected pathways that seemed to extend in every direction. It was clear that the next stage was the energy labyrinth, a place designed to challenge intellect, ingenuity, and courage. Jadin paused and studied the pathways. They were complex, overlapping, and filled with shifting platforms, energy barriers, and traps. He noticed symbols etched into the walls, glowing softly, forming patterns that might indicate safe routes or hidden dangers. His instincts told him to proceed carefully, but his determination pushed him forward. He was not just fighting for survival. He was carrying the hopes of countless human colonies that depended on the energy core. He took the first step onto a floating platform. It tilted slightly, testing his balance. He adjusted quickly, moving to the next platform and then the next. Soon, he encountered the first real challenge, a series of energy fields that pulsed intermittently. Timing would be critical. Jadin studied the rhythm, noting the intervals between pulses. With careful precision, he dashed through, barely avoiding the blasts that could have scorched him. The labyrinth was unlike anything he had faced before. Some paths were illusions, disappearing when touched. Others required him to manipulate the energy conduits, redirecting power to unlock new pathways. Jadin's mind raced as he solved each puzzle, combining logic, observation, and creativity. He discovered that the labyrinth reacted to his ingenuity, shifting and adapting to challenge him further. It was as if the palace itself were testing not only his skills but his potential. Hours passed as he navigated the twisting corridors. He encountered traps designed to exploit fear, hesitation, and impulsive thinking. One chamber had walls that slowly closed in, forcing him to find a hidden mechanism to halt the movement. Another had floors that vanished beneath his feet if he lingered too long, requiring precise leaps and timing. Every step tested his mental acuity and physical reflexes. During one particularly challenging section, Jadin noticed a trapped alien drone caught between energy barriers. Most intruders would have ignored it, focusing solely on their own survival. Jadin hesitated for only a moment before deciding to act. Using a combination of timing and energy manipulation, he freed the drone, allowing it to escape. The action cost him valuable time and energy, but he felt a sense of satisfaction. The labyrinth was testing not just skill, but character, and his choice reflected the human instinct to act with morality even in the face of danger. Further along, the labyrinth presented an even greater challenge. A chamber filled with rapidly shifting platforms extended over a deep abyss. Energy blasts fired intermittently from the walls, and some platforms were rigged to collapse under weight. Jadin's every movement had to be precise. He timed his jumps, calculated angles, and moved with fluid grace, using the platform's motion to his advantage. One misstep would have sent him plummeting into the abyss below. Despite the danger, he felt a strange exhilaration. Humans thrived in moments like this, when ingenuity, courage, and quick thinking combined to overcome seemingly impossible odds. Jadin's determination and adaptability shone brightly, the qualities that set humanity apart in the galaxy. He pressed forward, relentless and focused, aware that the Empress herself watched from above, silently judging his every decision. The labyrinth was not only a physical challenge but a mental one. Symbols and patterns appeared throughout the corridors, some seemingly random, others clearly part of complex puzzles. Jadin analyzed them carefully, recognizing sequences and connections that others might have overlooked. He discovered hidden panels that opened new routes, mechanisms that required both logic and dexterity, and energy flows that could be redirected to alter the environment. Each success brought him closer to the core, and further convinced him that human creativity was a force even the most advanced alien technology could not fully predict. At one point, he encountered a vast chamber with a central pedestal glowing with intense energy. Surrounding it were a series of rotating energy rings, each moving at different speeds. On the far side, he could see a hint of the energy core's signature. The path was deadly. Mistyming even a single step could mean being caught between the rings and incinerated. Jadden studied the motion carefully, noting the timing and speed of each rotation. He moved with deliberate precision, ducking, leaping, and twisting through the spinning rings. The air crackled with energy and his muscles burned, but he reached the pedestal safely. At the pedestal, he found the first piece of the puzzle, a fragment of the energy core's protective casing. He realized that the labyrinth was not only a test, but also a guide. Each piece brought him closer to understanding the mechanics protecting the core. Jadden examined the fragment, noting its structure and energy flow. With careful hands, he used his knowledge of physics and technology to bypass the labyrinth's defenses, preparing for the final approach. The Empress observed silently. She saw how he approached each challenge, not with brute force, but with intelligence, observation, and adaptability. She noted how he acted with morality, even helping the trapped drone, demonstrating qualities her own species often overlooked in pursuit of efficiency or power. His determination, creativity, and moral instinct were rare and valuable. Humanity, she realized, possessed something unique, the ability to adapt, survive, and act with honor even in the most dangerous situations. The final section of the labyrinth was a test of endurance, intellect, and courage combined. Jadden faced a room where multiple energy flows intersected, each shifting unpredictably. Platforms rose and fell, walls closed in and retreated, and energy pulses threatened to cut through the pathways at any moment. Jadden analyzed the sequence carefully, moving with the speed and precision of a seasoned warrior while thinking 3 steps ahead. His mind worked like a machine, but guided by intuition and experience, blending logic with creativity. He manipulated the energy flows, redirecting some and stabilizing others, creating safe passages where none seemed possible. The labyrinth reacted, testing him further, but Jadden's adaptability allowed him to overcome each obstacle. Sweat ran down his face, his muscles ached, and his heart raced, but he pressed onward undeterred. Finally, he reached the chamber where the energy core rested. It floated above a pedestal, encased in a shimmering barrier of pure energy. Jadden approached cautiously, analyzing the barrier's patterns. It was unlike anything he had encountered, powerful, intelligent, and responsive to movement. He noted the timing of the pulses, the flow of energy, and the weak points in the field. With careful precision, he extended his hand and activated a series of mechanisms he had discovered along the way. The barrier shimmered and pulsed, but did not falter. Jadden adjusted, recalibrating his movements based on the energy's response. Step by step, he aligned his actions with the rhythm of the barrier, using timing, logic, and intuition. Finally, the barrier stabilized long enough for him to reach the core. With a gentle but firm grip, he lifted the energy core from its pedestal. A surge of light filled the chamber, and the labyrinth seemed to pulse in acknowledgement of his success. He held the core carefully, marveling at its beauty and power. The energy thrummed in his hands, almost alive, resonating with the very essence of the galaxy. Jadden realized that this was more than a tool, it was a symbol of human potential. He had faced impossible odds, outwitted the most advanced alien technology, and proven that a single human, guided by ingenuity, courage, and morality, could achieve what few others could. From above, Empress Lyra watched. A small smile crossed her face, rare and genuine. She had witnessed the human spirit in action, a spirit that relied not on superior strength or firepower, but on adaptability, intelligence, and a moral compass that valued life as much as victory. She gave a silent command to her guards. None would interfere. The human had proven himself worthy. Jadden turned toward the exit, energy core secure, and began navigating back through the labyrinth. Every step, every leap, and every decision continued to test him, but now he moved with the confidence of someone who had conquered the impossible. He felt the weight of responsibility, knowing that what he carried could change the fate of countless worlds. Yet he also felt pride, not just in his accomplishment, but in what it represented: humanity's courage, ingenuity, and honor. As he emerged from the labyrinth into the palace's inner chamber, he knew that the final encounter with Empress Lyra awaited. He had proven his skill, his intelligence, and his morality. Now he would face the Empress herself, the being who could decide whether humans were worthy allies or merely a curiosity in her empire. Jaden's mind was sharp, his determination unwavering. The challenges had tested him physically, mentally, and morally. Yet he had not only survived, he had excelled, demonstrating the very qualities that set humans apart in a galaxy that often underestimated them. Above, Empress Lyra continued to watch. She understood now that humans were unique. They were unpredictable, adaptable, and capable of acts of courage and morality that even the most advanced alien minds struggled to anticipate. Jaden had shown her the essence of humanity in action, and she was fascinated. The stage was set for the final encounter, a meeting that could redefine the relationship between humanity and the Zorathian Empire. Jaden crossed the chamber, holding the energy core, ready to face the Empress, knowing that the choices he made next could echo across the galaxy. Jaden Cross stepped into the inner chamber of the Empress's palace, the energy core secure in his hands. The chamber was vast, its walls shimmering with crystalline light that pulsed in rhythm with the palace itself. Platforms of floating metal and crystal spanned the space, some stretching to great heights, others descending into shadowed depths. The air hummed with energy, alive with the power of the core he now carried. He could feel it vibrating softly, as if it recognized him, as if it understood the effort he had made to reach it. Empress Lyra stood at the center of the chamber, her presence commanding and graceful. She was taller than humans, with features both elegant and sharp, radiating an aura of authority that made the room feel smaller than it was. Her eyes, deep and calculating, focused on him with an intensity that could weigh the strongest being. Yet there was no hostility, only curiosity and a growing respect. Her guards had retreated, standing silently at the edges of the chamber, leaving the space open for this historic encounter. "You have come far, human," she said, her voice calm but resonant. "Few could survive the trials of my arena. Fewer still could navigate the energy labyrinth and reach this point. You have proven skill, courage, and wisdom beyond expectation." Jaden held the core carefully, aware of its incredible power. "I did what I had to do," he said. "I'm here to secure the core and use it to help others. That's all I've ever wanted." Lyra studied him for a moment, her expression unreadable. Then she nodded slowly. "You have acted not out of greed or ambition, but out of purpose. That is rare in any species. Most would seek power for themselves. You have shown integrity, ingenuity, and resilience, qualities that cannot be measured by strength alone." Jaden exhaled, relief washing over him. The trials had tested everything: his mind, his body, and his spirit. Yet the Empress's words were more rewarding than any victory. She had seen not only his skill but also his values, and in doing so, she acknowledged the essence of humanity itself. "You may wonder why I observed your progress so closely," Lyra continued, stepping forward. "I wanted to see what humans are truly capable of. Your species is unpredictable, clever, and moral in ways that even advanced beings struggle to anticipate. You have demonstrated qualities that could be invaluable to the galaxy." Jaden felt a surge of pride but remained humble. "I only acted as any human would. We survive, adapt, and help when we can. That's who we are." Lyra smiled faintly, a rare warmth crossing her features. "Indeed, and that is why I must offer you a choice. You may leave now, carrying the energy core back to your people. Your actions have earned you freedom and recognition. Or, you may work with me, forming an alliance between your species and the Zorathian Empire. Together, we could stabilize star systems, prevent disasters, and ensure the survival of countless worlds. Jadin paused, considering the offer carefully. The path ahead was unprecedented. An alliance with the Zorathian Empire could change the course of human history, opening doors to new technology, knowledge, and collaboration. It could also be fraught with challenges, requiring trust, diplomacy, and courage. But he saw the potential for good and he trusted his instincts. "I will work with you," he said finally. "If it helps save lives and protect the galaxy, then I will do it." Humanity is ready to learn, to cooperate, and to contribute. We are not perfect, but we are capable of great things. Lyra's expression brightened, though still composed. "Wise words, human. You speak with the clarity and purpose of a true leader. This decision marks the beginning of a new chapter, not only for your species, but for countless others who will benefit from cooperation, understanding, and shared knowledge." Jadin extended the energy core toward her, the pulsating light reflecting in his eyes. "The core is yours to protect, but I trust it will be used wisely. Its power is immense, and it should never fall into the wrong hands." Lyra stepped closer, her hands delicate but strong, and took the core from him. The energy resonated with her touch, and for a moment the chamber was filled with a brilliant light. It illuminated every corner, highlighting the beauty and complexity of the palace city. Jadin felt the weight of responsibility lift slightly, knowing that the core was now in capable hands, guarded not just by technology, but by a ruler who understood its importance. "Your courage and integrity have not gone unnoticed," Lyra said, placing the core securely on a pedestal designed to contain and amplify its energy safely. "From this day forward, your actions will be remembered. Humans will be regarded as more than curiosities or newcomers. You have shown that even one human can influence the course of history, not through domination, but through skill, wisdom, and morality." Jadin felt a deep sense of accomplishment. He had faced impossible odds, fought elite warriors alone, navigated a living labyrinth, and emerged with the energy core intact. He had done so without unnecessary violence, guided by intelligence, morality, and human ingenuity. And now he had earned recognition from one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Lyra's guards approached, bowing slightly as they acknowledged him. There was no hostility, no threat, only respect. For a human to earn such regard from an alien empire was unprecedented. Jadin realized that this was the culmination of everything humans represented: resilience, adaptability, creativity, and honor. "You may rest now, human," Lyra said, her voice calm but carrying authority. "Tomorrow we will discuss the terms of our alliance. For now, know that you have changed the perception of your species within my empire. Your courage has proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, humans can prevail." Jadin allowed himself a small smile. The weight of the trials, the battles, and the labyrinth seemed lighter now. He had achieved what many had thought impossible, and he had done so as himself, relying on human qualities rather than alien technology or brute force. As he settled into a temporary chamber prepared by the Empress's attendants, he reflected on the journey that had brought him here. From the moment he landed on Zorath 9, every step had been a challenge, every encounter a test. Yet each trial had revealed not only the dangers of the planet, but also the strengths of his species. Humans were underestimated across the galaxy, yet their ingenuity, morality, and resilience allowed them to face even the most advanced civilizations with courage and intelligence. The next day, Jadin met with Empress Lyra once more. The chamber was filled with representatives of her empire, beings from countless worlds, each watching with curiosity and respect. Jadin felt the weight of history pressing on his shoulders. He knew that this meeting could set the tone for a new era of cooperation, and understanding between humans and the Zorathian Empire. Lyra addressed the assembly, her voice resonant and commanding. This human has shown us that courage, ingenuity, and morality are qualities that transcend species. He has proven that even a single individual, acting with purpose and honor, can change the course of events. Let this be a lesson to all. Strength is not measured by weapons or numbers alone, but by intelligence, adaptability, and the integrity of one's actions. Jadden stepped forward, feeling both humility and pride. "I am honored to have earned your respect," he said. "Humans may be new to this part of the galaxy, but we are capable of great cooperation, learning, and contribution. Together, we can face challenges that no single species could overcome alone. We can protect lives, stabilize systems, and ensure a future where intelligence, courage, and morality guide our actions." The assembly remained silent for a moment, absorbing his words. Then, one by one, beings from various worlds began to nod, their expressions reflecting understanding and agreement. Lyra smiled subtly, recognizing that this was more than a speech. It was a declaration of trust, a bridge between civilizations built on respect and shared purpose. Jadden knew that the path ahead would not be easy. There would be negotiations, challenges, and the constant need to prove humanity's value in a galaxy full of powerful and advanced civilizations. Yet he also knew that he had taken the first step, not as a conqueror or a warrior, but as a human, using courage, intelligence, and morality to shape the future. As the meeting concluded, Lyra approached him once more. "You have earned a place in my empire's history, Jadden Cross," she said. "Not through domination, but through excellence, honor, and the human spirit. You have shown us that humans are capable of greatness, and I look forward to seeing how your species will continue to influence the galaxy." Jadden bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Empress. I will do my best to honor that trust and represent humanity with integrity and courage." The Empress nodded, her expression one of approval and quiet satisfaction. Jadden turned to leave the chamber, feeling the respect of the Zorathian Empire upon him. The energy core was safe, the alliance established, and the future held the promise of cooperation, discovery, and shared achievement. As he exited into the palace city, Jadden looked up at the towering spires, the floating islands, and the pulsating energy that surrounded him. He knew that humans had proven themselves worthy of trust, respect, and recognition. The trials of Zorath 9 had shown the galaxy that even a single human, guided by courage, intelligence, and morality, could accomplish extraordinary feats. And somewhere above, Empress Lyra watched him, her expression thoughtful. She had seen the human spirit in its purest form, adaptable, creative, and honorable. She knew that the human race had potential beyond what most civilizations imagined, and she looked forward to witnessing how they would shape the future of the galaxy. Jadden Cross, once a lone explorer, had become a symbol of humanity's potential. His journey across Zorath 9 had been filled with danger, challenges, and tests, yet it had revealed the essence of what it meant to be human. Courage, ingenuity, adaptability, and morality had guided him through impossible odds, and now they would guide the future of human interaction with the stars. As he prepared to return to his ship, energy core secure and alliance formed, Jadden felt a deep sense of accomplishment and hope. Humans had faced the unknown, survived, and earned the respect of one of the galaxy's most powerful beings. Their story was only beginning, and the galaxy would soon learn that the human spirit, when tested, could shine brighter than any star.